Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. It's January the 7th, first Wednesday of the month. I believe it is. Hey, listen, got a lot of transfer portal things to get into. I'm sorry for being a little bit late. I don't understand in the drop-off line, parents, how close do your kids need to get to the school? Just drop them off and let's keep going. Any case, that's why I'm a little bit late. But we got a lot. I mean, dog, we have so much to talk about. We have so much to unpack as relates to the transfer portal conversation and your Longhorns. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, man. I hope if I get it done in 30 minutes, that's great. If I go longer, so be it. But we got a lot to discuss. And by the way, shout out to Royce Whitaker. I appreciate you. Anytime I tweet out something, this the Royce Whitaker on Twitter is like the first to reach. It must get my alerts or something. But I always notice it, man, and I do appreciate the love and support, Royce. I don't even know what your alias is on here, but nonetheless, a shout out to you. I 100% appreciate you. And then yes, as all you guys are saying, prayers up, obviously, for Jordan Shipley and the family and what they're dealing with, and hopefully. Burns is nothing serious. That is something that is serious, as serious can be. So, keep saying your prayers for all the prayer warriors out there. Prayers for the Shipley family, and praying for a full recovery for Jordan as well. And I mean that sincerely. Well, listen, we've had a ton of, I guess you would say, not so great news. So at least Texas. We'll start it with some of the positives. Okay. At least Texas received positive news yesterday. I think it's towards like the evening time when news broke that Derek Williams decided that he's going to return to Texas, the safety there, and so he's not going to go into the portal, or rather, he's not going to try to go to another program. And so finally, Texas was able to get some good retention news. Right? Let's look at the graphic, though. I do have a graph I want to show you, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about Derek here as well. With Derek coming in, at least you get at least more a veteran there in the secondary. I do know, obviously, that I mentioned this before, that Texas was having conversations with him, trying to see, when he said he was going to go, like, could he potentially come back? I do know that they were fighting to get him back. I do know that was kind of a iffy, kind of touch and go situation when I was talking to some people about it last week. But obviously, a couple of things obviously happened. Look, let's keep it a buck. He's able to test the waters. Probably didn't love what he's seeing out there. The market is what the market is. Coaches are, making the decisions. And so clearly it wasn't like he went out and someone's like, hey, we'll give you $2 million a year, right? I mean, that's obvious, right? And then at the end of the day, sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And so sometimes it's just better to come back home and look, you say to yourself, all right, if Gideon's going to be here and, I've got all these other options here and I'm comfortable here. So, you end up staying. And so for Texas, at least from a retention standpoint, we're going to get to what, me, I always talk about acquisitions versus retention, right? And how I relate that to my life, right? From a retention standpoint, we got a positive. Now, there's some other stuff that we got to talk about retention-wise that is not going to be as positive. But for at least we'll start off good, right? We'll start this whole thing off on a good note, right? So here's the latest graphic I want to show y'all. This is the ins and the outs. So you're able to cross Derek Williams off the list. Okay, Derek Williams is off the list. He's a guy that says he's going to stay. Now you can look at the outs and look. There's a lot to discuss. I'm going to come back to that graphic in a second. But you see, the guys who Texas has brought in, and you see the guys who have left, and that list is long. And I hate to tell you, it's going to be growing, and I'm going to explain to you why in a second. But the theme of this week really has been, when you look at it, the thing of this week has been, who said that? Sar said if you go in the portal, you're not coming back. But no, that's actually not true. There have been guys who have talked about and flirted in the portal, and Sark has brought them back. So, it. I get what you're saying, like, but no, if you're good, they're going. They and they will fight for you. They'll bring you back. Now, don't forget, Sadir Mitchell was the guy that flirted around with the portal before, and they wanted him back, and then he came back. Now, I think he only came back for like a day or two. But nonetheless, they did want him at some point. Barb's 10, by the way. We'll go ahead and get you in here, Barb's. First of all, prayers for the ship and his family. Second, I thought Oklahoma was broke. Is this more of a FU to Sark and Texas to get in where you fit in? Homie obliterating any bridge with Texas. All right, I was going to save the Parker Livingston conversation, but we can get into it. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Because I have so much I want to discuss, and I don't want to forget where I left off. So I'm going to put a mental note to myself. I'm going to say retention is where I left off. Okay, we'll have for $10. We'll have the Parker Livingston conversation, and we'll get back to the show as planned. I don't know if Oklahoma was 100% broke. I don't necessarily know that. I do think there is. It's probably something where people think they're taking something that's really valuable to you. There is sometimes there's an excitement level that some people get about that, like feeling like, oh man, you really wanted this and I got it from you, like I stole it from you, and it's like, okay, at the end of the day, listen, Oklahoma wants a receiver. They've got a receiver. I've just said that he's you're good, Bars. Don't worry about it. Don't apologize for anything. We're going to have the conversation anyway, but we might as well just get out the way. It is what it is as relates to Parker. I mean, hey, if you want to go there, that's fine. I don't, if Oklahoma wants to spend 800, so be it. Texas doesn't think he was worth that. Texas gave him a price tag that I thought was more than fair. I thought it was actually pretty generous based off of the productivity that he had. But at the end of the day, somebody wanted to pay you more. It's like anything in life. If someone wants to pay you more power to you, right? And so, hey, if they got it, they got it. I think the rejoicing that Oklahoma fans are having, like they stole Arch away, is a little bit overplayed. Like they're acting like they stole like Texas's number one receiver. Where reality is, they stole a guy who's probably more of a 3 or a 4. Now, he was starting last season, sure, right? But then when Emmett Mosley got healthy, then all of a sudden you saw what happened there. Like the goal was always to have Emmett Mosley be ahead of Parker. That was always the goal. That was what the plan was. It's just Emmett Mosley got injured before the season, and that plan was never able to kind of take shape. But Parker wasn't going to be the number 2 guy going into 2026 season here at Texas. Now, he might be the number 2 guy at Oklahoma, so be it. But, look, okay, it is what it is. You go over there and you basically burn down every bridge that you've had here at Texas, which, hey, if you want to do that, it's your life. It's your life. It is what it is. So my thing is, maybe I don't know if it's an FU to Texas. It probably is, but it's kind of taking a spare part, but it's not necessarily taking like the whole part of the engine, right? It's not taking the engine out of the car. It's basically taking like the windshield wiper fluid, right? And you're like, well, I mean, you can drive down the road without windshield wiper fluid. I don't necessarily need that, right? That's what it is. And last thing I'll say is, I see Oklahoma fans, and they want to act like Texas fans are all mad, and I think Texas fans are more insulted by how his departure is, as opposed to like they're upset that they lost like a superstar. It's more just insulting on how it went about. Now you go to the Evil Empire. Look, at the end of the day, Brennan Thompson went over to Oklahoma. Casey Thompson went over to Oklahoma. Texas fans didn't necessarily just say like, want to riot in the streets. They just left, and it is what it is. This one's a little bit different on how it hit. So I think it's more how he went left than anything else. At the end of the day, we're talking about just pure productivity and playing. It's not lost. It is what it is. Retention. I took a note. It's the theme of the week has been. I'm going to make sure I didn't get the theme of the week has been retention. what you've seen this week is there was a lot of hype and a lot of hope that guys were going to go into the portal. And at the end of the day, it's kind of been a big bag of nothing when it's all said and done. Like all the guys that people are like, man, Lacey might go into the portal from Ole Miss, and then Bob might go into the portal, right? You're like, oh, he's gonna go in there, and then the Louisville running back, you're like, okay, like got a chance to get him, and at the hell, Ole Miss quarterback, not from a Texas standpoint, and what's happening is, and now we even see something with Derek Williams, right? You see guys are just like, you know what, I'm good. And I asked somebody about that yesterday because I had a note. I think it was yesterday morning on Orange Bloods. I'm pretty sure it was yesterday morning, and I was like, "Yo, why is it that it seems like some of these dudes are just not leaving like the way that you expected them to leave?" And by the way, remember to any reporter out there. In this era of NIL sidebar, don't ever predict that a guy is for sure going to go in the portal. Don't do that. Don't expose yourself to that. There's too many moving parts. This thing changes hourly. Don't ever just paint yourself into that kind of corner. Give yourself an out. I'm just saying. I saw somebody getting dunked on yesterday, and I was like, oh damn. Anyway, I'm gonna let that go. So. What's been explained to me, though, and it really makes a lot of sense. What's explained to me is that guys right now are more comfortable in their lives than they've ever been. You got to think about it. And explain it to me. Like they're 19 years old, 20 years old, right? They got high six figures, some people 7 figures, okay? They've got a nice apartment in downtown city that they're living in, right? More than likely should be buying a house with that money. So you have something that you could have for the rest of your life. But okay, anyway, but throwing away money on rent. You know what I'm saying? Like you get older, you're like, oh man, I should have bought a house in my 20s, right? But you learn these things, right? They got a nice car or cars. They've got jewelry, right? And so at that point, these guys are living more comfortable than they've ever lived before. And so as a guy told me, he said, these guys ain't trying to take that flat screen TV off the wall and move. They try to get a U-Haul and head out of town. It's like, when you think about it from that perspective, it's much easier to talk a guy into staying than it is to talk a guy into, think about it. You're having a conversation. Dude's on his balcony, right? He's got his feet up. He's got his drink. He's got his smoke. He's got whatever, right? He's chilling. He's living the life at 19 years old, 20 years old, right? He just got back. Uber Eats just got delivered to his door, right? He just saw some money. He's got some money, extra cash sitting around here, blah, blah, blah. Him and the fellas are going to go out, or he's going to take his woman out to a nice restaurant, something like that, right? And it's saying, hey, why don't you leave? He's like, man, I don't know. I got it pretty good here, man. I got it pretty good here. And that's what you're seeing with some of these guys. At the end of the day, the money is not that great where they said, okay, it's worth going. Now, what you're seeing as far as guys in the portal are concerned is you're seeing guys who either are high level and they're just like, man, I'm just going to cash out. If whatever I can get, I can get. Okay. And then you're also seeing guys who got pushed out. Not Parker. Real guys who got pushed out, right? Real guys got pushed out. I wish, Mike Torres, I wish that was a day in my life. I wish that was a day. I wish that was a day in my life. Today is going to be, Mike, is going to be me eating some of my leftover pluckers. They give you that free birthday meal. So I went there yesterday. I had this, it was the final day. So I'm going to eat some of my leftovers from there. And then take the boys to get haircuts. That might be your life this weekend. So you see, everyone's living a good life. So it's harder to get guys to leave. And so again, guys getting pushed out, those guys are in the portal. Guys who are trying to cash out, those guys are in the portal. But guys who are doing pretty good in their life, those guys are the ones that are staying put, and those guys are kind of the ones that are staying chill. So that's why you haven't seen as much, and you saw like Jaden Ba decided that he's going to stay, which really, really, really puts Texas kind of in a real all-in situation as relates to Relic Brown, which I hope I'm saying it right. If I got to go back, and I believe I was watching some highlights of him yesterday, and I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right, Relic. But if I'm not, I apologize to the Brown family, and I'll get it right. Puts Texas in and kind of all chips in as relates to him, because the running backs that they were hoping might be on the board are not on the board. And we got an important running back conversation to be had as relates to this. And I'll just get to it. I won't skirt around. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that right now. I'll come back to Relic. I'll make a mental note. I'm going to write that down too. I want to make sure I come back to that. All right, let's get into some stuff that we really need to discuss. Okay, there's real talk here. There are conversations that are being had behind the scenes with Texas and agents / players / Nook. Some of these guys are represented by the people who aren't agents. So, Ray, Pookie, Nook, all them. Some of them people are just the agents who just throwing out numbers, right? They just like, I'm an agent now. Like, it's like anybody's doing it, right? So Texas is negotiating with those people. And two things are happening right now, which is Texas is telling some guys, hey, this is what we feel your NIL value is, and we're not budging from it. And you have other guys who are saying, well, I ain't feeling that. And there's meetings that are taking place where they're having constant conversations and dialogues with some of these people, right? And, and so because things change all the time, like this is where I just kind of like, I gotta see it play out. I'll tell you the name there's a couple of names I've heard that I would say we need to keep an eye on. Okay. The first name that I heard multiple times yesterday, I would say at least 4 times yesterday, was we got to keep an eye out on Christian Clark and what that situation is. Now, remember when my setup for this is always this, which is these are ongoing things. So if I tell you something in real time and it changes on Friday, but for the good, don't say like, oh man, well, you said this thing on Wednesday. I'm letting you know what things look like in real time. I'm not waiting until there's a finished product. I'm telling you what things are in real time. He's a guy that I keep hearing, okay, let's see what happens, and can they come to terms, and can they come to an agreement? Now, look, Christian Clark had a great game against Michigan. I'm a Christian Clark guy. I think I love what his potential is or could be, right? The hard part is it's easy for one side to see it and they say, look, you probably shouldn't have been playing us the whole damn time, if we're just being quite honest with you, right? We would agree to that. And Christian Clark should have been playing more than CJ Baxter. That is obvious, okay? No disrespect to you, Mr. Baxter, but that's kind of obvious, right? And so you can look at it from the Clark perspective and say, yeah, well, you know what? Our role is probably going to increase going into 2026. And sometimes yesterday's price ain't today's price. And then Texas may say, yeah, but this. And Texas also is thinking, okay, but there's also a loyalty conversation to be had in here as well, right? Which is, hey, y'all, we've been sitting here, we've been loyal to you the whole time. We've been sitting here biting the bullet, and now you're bringing in people to take our job. Like, now, how do we feel about that? So there's a money component, sure, right? That's fair. But then there's also okay, is anybody loyal right now component? And I'll be honest with you, I see all sides of this. I can see the Clark side. I can see the Texas side. I actually don't have a dog in the fight. I don't. But you have until this. You have 9 more days to put your name into the portal, and that's a name that I'm hearing like, whew, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that, right? So you gotta keep an eye out on that. Now, look, if Clark for some reason, now let's go into hypothetical, which Sark doesn't like hypotheticals. Sark don't like hypotheticals, right? Don't ask Sark a hypothetical question. Don't ask him that. I may have heard he doesn't like to answer those. That's an inside joke for anybody who know that Sark and I had a playful back and forth. I don't know, was it last year or the year before that or something like that? I don't know. Any case, it puts more on getting Mr. Brown. Somebody actually put in the chat how I should pronounce it, and let me see if I said relic. Someone gave me the correct pronunciation. I think it's so. Anyway, I can't get it. Mr. Brown. It puts a little bit more on getting Mr. Brown from Arizona State. Mr. Brown was what am I, like a Tyler Perry show or something? Relic. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give a black pronunciation to it. Relic. It puts more on it to get Relic, right? Because the running back room. Let's go back to this, right? Let's go back to that graphic, right? If you look at the running back room, you already had Trey Wisner's going to FSU. Jarrett Gibson, which by the way, has Jarrett Gibson signed with anybody? And by the way, out of curiosity, I may have missed it. My son's birthday was over the weekend. The birthday party was on the weekend. Birthday was on Monday. I've been working. I've had my head down a little bit. Did I miss Gibson, Baxter, or Stewart signing with anybody? Did anybody notice that? And I just missed it. I did pay attention. I did see Wisner going to FSU. When you look at that running back room, they need Christian Clark. I would just be keeping it real. They do need him. They do need him. And not because they need a body. They need good running backs. If you put Clark and Relic, I think, as your 1 and 2 with the guy who's coming in, then I say to yourself, okay, you've got Derek Cooper. Then you can say, okay, that's fine. You can operate from that. I feel good about that. The thing about Relic that I've been told as relates to him is that, good guy, probably more of a Jaden Bluish kind of running back, if you had to do a comparison. So what that means is he's probably not your goal line back. He's going to be one of those guys. I'm not saying he's a gadget guy, right? Not by any stretch of imagination, but how you use him would be different than how you would use like some of the other guys that you like, even a Wisner that you may have used, but previously, right? So I think there has to be, you need those. Jonathan Brooks would be another guy that I would say like, okay, that's not his role. Okay. But that being said, you've got to be able to, you're going to have to field something, right? You got to have some sort of running backs who are here. And yeah, that's hellified attrition at this moment. He's a guy I would say you got to keep an eye on. What are you guys saying? Purdue? Who's going where? Who went to Purdue? Who went to Purdue? Who the hell went? I put 2 guys out there. Who went to Purdue? Is that Jarrett Gibson that went to Purdue? I'm sorry. I missed it. And by the way, Bars came back in. He's like, keep your flow. Don't stop. Don't stop show. Okay. I forgot to mention we shared this. He's like, Odie Barbs. He's like, hey, keep your flow. Don't stop the show. All right. Which I like to rhyme. And then he's like, hey, so anyway, I want to say something random that's going to totally throw you off your flow. But that we both share December 30th birthday. Let's go Capricorns. Late happy birthday. Have an old fashioned. So thank you. Thank you, Barbs. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We do a Capricorn season. We share the same birthday. You, me, Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Bo Diddley. There's a lot of celebrities who share it with us. So Artie Bars is like, don't stop your flow. But hey, we share the same birthday. Anyway, so there's a couple of other things. Good morning to you, Tex Blonde. Also, keep an eye out. I'm going to keep an eye out on Clark. There's other guys who are in the mix that I say we've got to. Some guys I think I mentioned that you got to keep your eyes out on. Just understand, like, we are in this really. Thank you guys for the Gibson thing, and thank you for the late happy birthday. I appreciate it. I celebrated down in Orlando, had a good time, and had a really good time, actually. So thank you for that. And like I said, I got my Pluckers stuff. I got a free Chick-fil-A. I love all my rewards. I got a free Chick-fil-A sandwich that's waiting on me as far as my rewards are concerned. So all my apps, I got like a little something that I got to cash in on. Yes, I threw in Braun and Tiger. Yes, they do have it. Matt Lauer has our same birthday too, but we just don't talk about Bruno. Anyway, don't do it. Don't get political. There's so many conversations that are being had right now, y'all. I'm serious. From a Texas perspective, from the attrition perspective, there's hard conversations that are being had behind the scenes, and so we got to do not be surprised. Again, Parker. His story doesn't match everybody else's story. He got a fair offer. There's other guys at Texas are saying this is a fair offer for you for what you were able to do. Some people are getting pay cuts. Pay cuts. Yes, there are some people who are getting pay cuts. And, I don't want to put their business out there because I don't want to necessarily affect their market value if they go somewhere. But I have heard some names as far as guys who are getting cuts, which they can't offer everybody, right? But then again, if you're getting offered a pay cut and you say to yourself, well, shoot, if I'm gonna get a pay cut, am I going to stay here? I'm just going to try to go somewhere else. So you got guys and agents working behind the scene right now, calling schools and say, all right, if I put my guy in the portal, how much are you going to pay me, right? But then there's this other part of it. I've told you that there's a little sneaky part that's going on right now. This is fascinating to me. And I'm not saying Texas is doing it, but I've heard other people tell me about this thing, which is you have other coaches that are tired of getting played. And so you have other coaches who are calling coaches behind the scenes. You want to know how the sausage is being made? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell y'all. They got other coaches calling the other guys behind the scenes and saying, hey, man, Tex Blonde just came into my office and she said, you offering her $800. And that coach is maybe saying, these coaches are working together now. And that coach is saying, hell no, we didn't offer him no her 800. We offered her 400. And they're like, thanks. They go back to Tex Blonde. Hey, listen, well, I already talked to such and such. They said you getting 4. So guess what? You can now get 350 or we could give you the, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so there's these coaches, because there is no, and trust me, you'll hear this. You're going to hear this. You're going to hear this eventually. Just know where you heard it first. You're going to have eventually players are going to catch on. They're going to complain about collusion and all these other kind of things, right? Just know Unc's usually ahead of the grain to all that. That's what's going to happen. Okay, the other thing that's interesting too So it's a lot of hope and wishing and praying. Like people were saying a couple of days ago that, oh, Cam Coleman's not going to go to Tech. And I'm like, really? It's kind of how they were telling me, well, Jaden Ball, we're expecting him to come out. Y'all heard me. I said, I don't know about that. Because Jaden Ball's had every reason to go into the portal. He hasn't done it yet. So I don't know necessarily if I'm going to buy what they selling right now. And lo and behold, Jaden Ball, I'm like, Jabbar Jaluk's been here for a few weeks. He already knows Jabbar. I'm sure there's been conversations about the money. So if he wanted to do this, he can do it. He hasn't done it yet. I was like, I don't know. It's not adding up to me. And of course, it didn't happen. Today, Cam Coleman is supposed to be visiting Tech. And I'll be honest with you, from a Texas perspective, I am very concerned. I know what's being said. Texas, we got the money, we can pay you, all these kind of things. But Texas Tech is playing like with monopoly money right now. Like there's real money, and there's that Tech thing. And look, it's not in Tech. It's one guy who is like, I don't care. I am now basically an owner of a team. I am Jerry Jones. Like I can't own the Cowboys, right? But I can own Tech, and I could be the GM/owner of Tech. And so because that guy who is their Jerry Jones is saying, you know what? I don't care. Money is not a thing. I worry about Cam Coleman being in Lubbock today. I do. And look, I hope at the end of the day, from a Texas perspective, I hope at the end of the day, the money's all even, the money's all equal, or it's close, and they're not throwing some just $4 million a year at him kind of thing, but it's close enough for him to say, all right, man, you know what? I like this money. I'd rather play with Arch Manning, something to that effect, right? But when I just think of young people, and I just think, man, am I really going to turn down that? I don't know. So if he wasn't going to take that Tech visit, I would say, I feel good. Right now, I'm like, I'm sweating this one out. Now, there is some hope that he'll make a decision. When I was told, there's some hope that he makes a decision before the weekend. I think somebody may have said that there was some announcement day. There's too much going on. I can't keep up with everything. But there's some hope that hopefully by Thursday would be optimal, that he makes a decision Friday, before the weekend. Like, now here's the key to it. Ain't nobody tripping if he doesn't. It's not like Texas is going to say, well, hey, if you don't meet our deadline, Mr. Coleman, we're good. Like, obviously that's not going to happen, right? Texas will wait. Texas has options. They have backup options. They have guys who they are interested in, but they're still going to wait on this one just to see how it goes and how it plays out. And look, if you are Cam, first of all, you're going to be the number one wherever you go. That's clear, right? We get that, right? But if I am him, I would say, okay, money's good. I'll walk in Texas. I was probably going to walk in as a day one starter anyway. I definitely walking in as a day one starter now. I get to play with Arch. I get to increase my draft stock. I do know, but I was told for their camp, him playing with a good quarterback, that is a priority for them and the family, like having that. But at the end of the day, guys, what's that saying? Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. In this era of the transfer portal, I would say believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. I think that would be a good rule of thumb, because these people say something on a whatever day, and that thing changes by the afternoon. And there's too many things, there's too many variables. And I can hear all the positives, all the things I can tell myself, well, this makes sense for Texas. And then guess what? At the end of the day, someone drops a boatload of cash on someone and says, now tell me no. Right? I mean, it's just life, right? It's just this life. You may like your job. Let somebody offer you an extra 40,000 a year. Right? Exactly. You gone. We all gone, right? It is that. Now imagine the discrepancy is 500,000, 400,000, a mil, whatever the things is, right? So I'm going into this thing with a wait and see approach, not only to Coleman, everybody else. Quite honest with you, I don't know. Relic. That sounds good. Seems like it's trending in the right direction as relates to Texas. I'll see it. Seeing is believing. Seeing is believing with all these cats. It's all about the money. Is that Dion must be the money? I mean, it's what it's about. So at some point, I don't know how. At some point, though, there'll be some sort of salary cap. It's probably not a sustainable model, I don't believe. Going forward, there'll be some sort of these coaches aren't going to keep doing this for that long. The coaches coaches like to have power. That's a huge thing from coaches. They like to have power. They like to have control. That's who they are. It's usually one of the reasons why there's sometimes a conflict with media, right? Because media is usually the one entity in their life that they really can't control. They can control everybody else on staff, right? But they can't control Kurt Bowles asking some crazy ass question, right? And so they're like, what the hell? And this is the same group of people. You got to remember that several years ago used to be able to block guys when they wanted to go and transfer out of programs, right? You want to transfer out of my program? Cool. You can't go to the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, whatever. You can't go to this school, like all that kind of stuff. They used to be able to do that, right? They box guys out, box them out. So you think you want to get closer to home? I hope you enjoy Idaho, right? So, which maybe Idaho's beautiful. I don't know. Maybe I've never been there. I like to go to Montana, but that's a different story. These guys like control. They don't have control right now. They're trying to get some of it back. And how they're trying to get some of it back is by making offers that they feel are fair. And some of these guys aren't over. Now, some guys are overbid and they don't give a damn. But everybody else is not going to necessarily get it. So there's going to come a point where these group of individuals who are used to being in control, who the NCAA said you can't have control anymore. Why? Because we're getting tired of getting sued. So the NCAA said, you know what? We tired of getting sued. Y'all can transfer as many times as you want to, no limitations. It is what it is. We tired of that. You want to get paid? All right, get paid whatever you want. It's supposed to be NIL. We don't care. Like, you remember NIL in theory is supposed to be you're getting paid off your name, image, and likeness. That's what it's supposed to be. And right now, it's just a salary. Everybody acknowledges that. So that will change at some point. For right now, it's the Wild Wild West. Keep your head on a swivel. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. And understand, as always, from a Texas perspective, there's still conversations that are being had. And don't be surprised. Do not be surprised if before the transfer portal, you hear a couple of more names of guys who are going in. Now, not the big guys. The big guys are pretty much taken care of. Your Colin Simmons of the world, your Arch Mannings of the world, like all the big dogs those guys are pretty much good. Texas made sure. One of the things that was important from a Texas perspective was they wanted to make sure. This is what I was told even last year in the transfer portal, that they wanted to make sure that there was enough money available to lock up all the guys that are coming back, all the guys who are going to be stars in the 2026 seasons, your Goosebys of the world, your Simmons of the world, right? You go down the list of the guys who you think are outstanding guys, right? They wanted to make sure they want to make sure they had enough money for those guys. So that was important. So making sure those guys got locked up, you saw that happening. Now, there's other people who they're like, we're not going to overspend, and the other guys have to make decisions on that. So just Keep your head on a swivel, y'all. Just I'm telling you, Unc is telling you in advance. And when it happens, you can say, all right, well, Unc gave us some warning. Some guys ain't wanted to leave, ain't wanting to leave, by the way. That is not proper English. But some guys don't want to leave because they're living good. But some guys are being told right now, if you want to be at Texas, this is either one, your offer, or two, you gotta take less. And some guys gotta make decisions. And there are real decisions being made in real time. So keep your head out for that. All right, I went over. It is what it is. It's transfer portal season. We'll make it roll. Noon show. We got more stuff going on. There's tons of things, content on Orange Bloods. If you're not signed up for, Michelle can tell you about it. Michelle, I think Michelle's in her first year of being on Orange Bloods. Michelle can let you know if she feels like her subscription is worth it. But I feel like most people do. They're getting a lot of good content out there. So, hey, man, I'll be back. I got some stuff tomorrow. I'm working the phones day and night. So this is fun, man. It's funny, real quick. It's kind of interesting that they have like the the Navy game? There's something that the thing down in San Antonio, the All-Star stuff going on with the high school guys. And I'm just like, man, I ain't even thinking about that. I'll be honest with you. It's probably not fair for stuff. That is like the last. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna close on this. I probably shouldn't say this, but even when it comes high school recruiting for me nowadays, it's a big bag of like shoulder shrug. Because the portal is where this thing is. The portal is when I know you got to build a roster through high school. Don't get me wrong. I get that. But we have to wait for so many years for those guys to develop. The portal is about the now. And so I'm more all chips in on portal stuff than I was high school. Y'all weren't even demanding like high school recruiting shows back in December. Like y'all, it was like y'all was just like, oh, signing day's coming up. Oh, okay, cool. Right? It's just a different world that we're in. So just stay tuned to Orange Buzz. I ain't gonna shit on the high school recruiting thing, but these are changing in real time. I just gotta say that. All right. On that note, I feel like I could do like another 20 minutes of just bullshitting with y'all, but I probably shouldn't. Because then I might say something crazy. So listen, go out there, Capricorns by Capricorns in Capricorn season. Go out there, Barbs, do something special for yourself. Remember, I always say, live each day like it's your last. One day it will be, right? So, man, like, again, man, you would just like the Shipley thing, man. It's like when I say, man, live each day like it's your last. Because we just never know how this thing could go. Like one day you're just waking up. Like everybody's waking up today. They're just thinking, man, I'm going to go about my day and I'm going to go do all these kind of things. And things change in an instant, man. Instantly. That's how quick everything can change in life. So that's why it's not a doom and gloom. I'm just saying, enjoy your life. Enjoy your day today. Enjoy your January 7th. Don't take life for granted. And that's why I always say, go out, do something special for yourself because you absolutely deserve it. Make sure you pray for the Shipley family. 100%. Keep them in your prayers, real prayers that are out there, and hoping that he pulls through. And for everybody else, make sure you appreciate today, embrace the day. You just never know. All right, y'all? I'll be back. I'll be on these airways. Unc ain't going nowhere. Only the good die young. So I'm going to be around for a hot minute.